I think there's a lot of misconceptions around what customer experience is. A lot of people think, is it the way a website behaves? Is it the way a store feels? Like, do we have the right music? And do we have the right displays? And that is all part of the bigger recipe for a consumer experience, or customer experience rather. But I think at the heart of customer experience, it's all about understanding how your customers are behaving and how you want them to behave, and understanding that gap and helping close that gap. And it's really, a lot of customer experience is very scientific. It's very rooted in the data that you're collecting from your customers to understand just how they're behaving and how you want them to behave. And I think at the biggest level, it's all about, I think someone once told me, and I love this saying, it's all about head, heart, and hand for a customer. So how is your customer feeling about your product, your brand, your experience? What's their heart telling them? How do they feel about your brand? What's their affiliation to you? And then does that move the needle? Does that inspire them, encourage them, motivate them to go and use your service or buy your product? So I just love this stuff. There's a lot of psychology behind it. There's a lot of quantifiable data behind it. And it's really, to be successful in this space, it's all about how to marry this psychological customer behavior piece of it with the data piece of it. So in a nutshell, that's kind of how I define customer experience. I think it's been widely defined differently. There's there's no courses in university or college on it. It's not like it's not like a customer experience 101. So a lot of people look at it differently. Like, I find a lot of organizations say, yeah, we have a great customer experience team. Tell me about it. Well, our call center does this and our contact center does that. I'm like, well, what about the leading up to the experience, the in the moment experience at time of purchase, and the post-purchase experience? It's really that looking at the customer life cycle as a whole. And that's really, to me, how you define customer experience.
Man, that's deep. I love that. That's so good. There's already 700 different ways I can see that we can take this conversation. Maybe going back to, you said the head, the heart, and the hand. How does that influence the way that you guys make decisions at a very high level? Because obviously a lot of the work, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the work that you do, or at least a lot of the teams that you work most closely with, are at a very kind of high and corporate level. So how does, thinking of the customer experience through those three lenses, how does that work its way into what you do, practically speaking? Yeah.
So, I like to think of myself as a very in the trenches type of guy. So, we develop strategies at a more senior level, but those strategies only hit traction when you get down to the people level, whether that's your retail associates at brick and mortar level or your back-end programmers on a direct-to-consumer site. So with the head, heart, and hand, really the head part is how the customer thinks about it, right? So even before they've entered your store or landed on your site or, procured your services, how are they thinking about you? How are they thinking about the service? What is the need that they have that you're trying to solve for? What are the solutions you're trying to provide them, and how do they think about that? So from that part, it's all, again, going back to the cycle of it all, it's all about how the customer is perceiving you, perceiving your brand, perceiving your product, your service, even prior to them making that purchase, right? So that's the pre-purchase part. So you really want to make sure you have a really thoughtful and intentional strategy around that. And that's where you can pair up with your marketing partners. That's where you can pair up with your finance partners, whether that's pricing or your logistics partners on how you're going to get that product to them. It's all about that pre-purchase. What's that customer thinking about, and what's the problem you're trying to solve? Then when it comes to the heart, how are they feeling about it, right? How do they interact with that product? How is that product going to make them feel? How is that product going to solve a problem that they're having? So you see a lot of that in tech. A lot of customers are looking for a solution that will solve a problem and make their life easier, make them more profitable. So really trying to understand how to equip your offering or your go-to-market strategy with how they're going to feel about it and what satisfaction they're going to get from it. And then the hand part is, are they going to make that click? Are they going to pull their card out? How are they going to interact with the product, and are they going to purchase? Are they going to sign up with you? Are they going to solicit your service, right? And then you circle right back to the head. So it's all about post-purchase. So congratulations, you've got that customer to procure your services, buy your solution, buy your product. But again, it's a full life cycle, right? So it's, how's that customer feeling about it post-purchase? Do they have any remorse? Are there any gaps that you missed? Are there any things you could have done better? And that's where great follow-up really helps understand back to that cycle of the head piece. Will they come back to you? Have you created lifetime value with that customer? Are they going to be, loyal to you when they have a number of different products and a number of different services or solutions at their disposal? So really that's how your strategy comes together. You got to look at it holistically in the full life cycle of the customer.
Man, I like the way that those things kind of naturally create a cycle, right? And when you're talking about thinking about the post-purchase experience, I'm thinking of someone who stopped by a retail location, picked up something, so they actually did go through the whole process of head, heart, and hand, and they're at home, they're pulling it out of the bag, or they're going to use it if it's something, if it's a tool or something practical, whatever, if it's not, and just like, okay, even like, what is that experience, right? Do they have that remorse, regret? Was this, man, then you start getting into such like psychological things of like, was it priced appropriately and is the value there? And I know that, those go-to-market strategies are something that you've focused on a lot. And one of the, the head, heart, and hand experiences that I feel like I have had for myself that was a really valuable lesson for me early on. This was shortly after Leanne and I got married. I was like working as a graphic designer, and so on the side I was like, oh, it'd be cool, we live in the city of Hamilton, it's a cool hip city, I'll make some posters, they'll look really cool and we'll sell them. There was like a monthly art crawl where all these different vendors come and sell stuff on the street, right? So I was like, oh cool. So I dumped probably $500, $1,000 into prints and stuff, and tons of people would come by and go, oh, I love that looks so cool, and then they would walk away, and I made a total of like 2 sales that night, and that was about it. And I had all this merchandise. I was like, uh-oh. And I mean, I maybe went out like 1 or 2 other times after that, and that was about it. And it really helped me understand that having a really cool product is one thing, but having it be of enough value, at least in the customer's perception, that they are actually willing to make a purchase, that's a whole other like hill that you got to push the boulder over, right? Like it's, you can get the first 2 things right, you can get the head right and the heart right, but if they're not willing to actually use their credit card and buy that thing, and even if they do that and they get home and they have that regret or that awful feeling, that can kind of void the entire process and doesn't create a cyclical, a cycle, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? So
sure.
That's just what I'm thinking about when I hear that. Is the head, heart, and hand, is that exclusive to like a particular place? Like, where did you learn that as a concept? Because you said there is no like, retail or customer experience school. So like, is that just like, is that a common industry thing, or what? How did you kind of pick up that framework, I guess?
Yeah, I think I had a really strong leader once upon a time, and he was always about how are they thinking about us? How are they perceiving us? There's so much competition out there. Like, why are they coming to us? And then working with that, that really stayed with me and ingrained with me. And actually in that same company, our marketing partners are really good about like, how do they feel about us? And how does that make them feel post-purchase? And then from my operational background, it was all about the hand, right? It's about, to your point with with your artwork there, is like, how do you get them to buy it, right? How do you get them to sign up? How do you get them to subscribe to your service or procure your solution? So I think, I don't know that anyone actually termed it for me, but the more I thought about it, and every time we put a strategy together, it was always like in my head about that cycle, right? That head, heart, and hand. How do we make sure that everything we're doing, from a marketing strategy to a pricing strategy to a post-purchase strategy, how is that all fitting within that cycle?